Throwback jerseys, an iconic symbol of sports and streetwear culture, and once a key piece of almost every wardrobe. You ever wonder what sparked the throwback era of the early 2000s? Or more importantly, why did it seemingly disappear overnight? There was literally a time where you were seriously looked down on if you didn't have at least one old school sports jersey in your fashion catalog. But these days, jerseys have exclusively reverted back to the closets of diehard homers. Ever wonder why? What caused the downfall of the throwback jersey era? Well, let's find out. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall and rise again of the throwback jersey. But before we get started, please take a second to stop and smash that like button as usual. Liking and sharing these videos is the only way to help smaller channels like ours continue to grow. But with that being said, let's jump into the story. Throwback jerseys originated in the sports memorabilia world, where collectors and fans sought authentic vintage sports apparel to celebrate their favorite athletes and moments in sports history. Before the throwback era, they were simply known as sports apparel. The minimalist retro style of design of the 60s and 70s uniforms had a natural flair to them, and it made them stand out. These jerseys were initially produced as collectibles and had a niche appeal to diehard sports enthusiasts. During the 50s to the 80s, throwback jerseys were mainly only seen in trophy rooms and man caves. Companies like Mitchell & Ness, founded in 1904, began to produce authentic reproductions of vintage jerseys, initially for sports museums and memorabilia collectors. The Mitchell & Ness Nostalgia Company, which was based in Philadelphia, became a major player in the throwback jersey market in the late 80s. They specialized in producing high-quality replicas for historic jerseys from all major sports leagues. In 1983, Mitchell & Ness began producing throwback jerseys when they released the reproduction of historic baseball uniforms, including those worn by players like Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb. Their success in the baseball market led to similar products for basketball, football, and hockey. Fans started wearing these jerseys not only as collectibles, but as a way to show pride in their favorite teams and players from the past. The late 90s and early 2000s marked the explosion of throwback jerseys in mainstream fashion, driven by the influence of hip-hop culture. Prior to the throwback era, jerseys were popular as fashion items, but they weren't necessarily a status symbol. If you had a replica of your favorite player, you looked like a fan and you looked pretty fly. But if you had an authentic jersey with stitching and all, you were not only fly, you were not only a fan, but it signified that you had $300 or more to spend on a shirt. It didn't take long for some of the biggest names in the rap game to pick up on the trend. Guys like Jay-Z, Fabulous, and Nelly seemingly owned every single throwback jersey ever created. The jerseys represented status, style, and a deep connection to the golden era of sports. And once the wave began to roll, everybody had to have one. The lofty price point only added to the allure, with popular artists competing to find the rarest retired players' jerseys money could procure. The oversized throwback was a sign of a fat wallet and a keen taste in trends. When I was like 16, I worked at a throwback shop in Deep Ellum, and they were selling jerseys for $500 to $700 each. We couldn't keep them in stock. Brands like Mitchell & Ness became a household name. Originally, Mitchell & Ness was marketed towards wealthy, generally white, baby boomers. But after the throwback explosion, it was a must-have for young, flashy, and the famous. But Mitchell & Ness wasn't the only business in the game. There was Stall & Dean, Majestic, Starter, Champion, and many others. Part of the draw of throwbacks was not only the retro styling or the trendy nature, it was also the fact that many people liked the idea of repping their favorite childhood players while simultaneously being fly. In the early 2000s, we saw a peak of the throwback jersey trend, when it became a must-have for both sports memorabilia market and in the mainstream streetwear market. Nearly every major hip-hop video from 2000 to 2004 featured artists donning throwbacks.
You just start wearing it? Was they paying you? How did it evolve, and what happened?
Well, at first it was just I just liked it. It looked cool to me. I was a sports fan, so jerseys as a whole just was like a cool thing to wear. So
at the height of their popularity, throwback jerseys became a status symbol. Owning a rare, high-quality throwback meant that you were part of the elite in streetwear culture. Some jerseys became exclusive and limited edition items, making them even more valuable and desirable. Throwbacks were everywhere. If you couldn't afford a Michelin-esque, then you likely had one of the other brands. It got to the point to where you couldn't turn your head and not see someone wearing one. By the mid-2000s, the trend had become extremely oversaturated. The market was flooded with mass-produced jerseys, including knockoffs and many replicas that lacked the quality and authenticity of the original Michelin-esque products. Many people started buying cheap, mass-produced versions of throwbacks just to kind of get in on the play, making them less prestigious in the long run. And then finally, the dreaded style trend change began to affect the market. Now, if you're a regular watcher of this series, then you know the introduction of streetwear in the mid-2000s really changed everything in the fashion world. As trends evolved, the oversized, baggy jersey look began to feel outdated. Artists like Kanye West and Pharrell Williams led a trend to shift towards more fitted, luxury, and minimalist fashion styles, moving away from the bold, super baggy look of the early 2000s.
Funny, I'm looking at your attire right here. You know, the wardrobe has definitely changed since the retirement. Got the button down and
I can't even show.
Let me show the shoes.
Even Jay-Z, who helped popularize the throwback era, famously declared in his 2003 song Change Clothes that it was time to, quote, switch it up, and simultaneously went on to button-ups, which, let's just say, never really caught on. For years after that, throwbacks sort of reverted back to their OG purpose as displays in memorabilia rooms. However, over the last few years, with the resurgence of the 90s and early 2000s retro fashion, some have rolled their throwbacks back out. Artists like Travis Scott, Drake, and A$AP Rocky have been seen wearing throwback jerseys in modern streetwear looks. But the jerseys are often integrated with a more contemporary, minimalist style, rather than the oversized, baggy fits from the past. Michelin-esque remains a dominant player in the throwback jersey market and has capitalized off the nostalgia trend by continuing to release limited edition collections and collaborations with streetwear and sneaker brands. Not to mention, many in the professional sports world have began making new tech recreations of many of their classic uniforms and playing in them each year. The added visibility on TV has further contributed to consumers falling back in love with old school jerseys. Throwback jerseys have had an interesting journey, from sports memorabilia to a global streetwear trend, to a symbol of status in hip-hop culture, and then back to a more niche fashion statement. Though their mainstream appeal has waxed and waned over the years, throwback jerseys continue to represent a unique moment in fashion history, blending sports heritage with street culture. Whether as a casual fashion statement or a nostalgic nod to the past, throwback jerseys still hold a special place in both sports and fashion. And for that reason, I don't think throwback jerseys will ever truly die. But what do you think? Do you own a throwback jersey now? Or did you have some back in the day? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. And if you made it all the way through, we hoped you enjoyed the video and we hoped you smashed that like button. Liking and sharing these videos is the only way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice smaller channels like us and show us a little bit of love so we can continue to grow. We've done a lot of growth over the past couple of months and I can't thank you guys enough. But hey man, we trying to get up there to the top with some of the rest of them. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new video, then hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you can be reminded when a new episode drops. With that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time. Peace.